Exciting week, obviously, to have Bedlam to finish up the regular season here. So I know our girls are ready, prepared, and should be a fun time.
Earlier this week, obviously OU's already talked about a series happening or a game happening next year. Do you have any take on that and what you want to say about that as well?
I don't have a whole lot, to say. I think I've been the only one that's been out front of this for a long time that we want to play. So that's good news.
Why is it important just that you want to keep playing this?
It's two of the best teams in the country, and we're 60 miles apart. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Like, it would make sense for us to be playing Arkansas and stuff like that. It just seems very natural. So,
is it cool to be able to play that game at Hall of Fame Stadium, and that's a place where you could just pack a ton of people in there?
Yeah, I think that's the only real thing that's cool, is that you can get more people. Other than that, it's still a street fight wherever it's played. We could play it over here at Couch Park, and it would be jam-packed, and it would be intense. So, yeah.
What are you preparing for most with this series and being at a new stadium?
Same as we always do. It's us. We're just preparing to be the best version of us. Keep peaking at the right time. It really doesn't have much to do with the opponent. It never has. You guys make it more of a deal than anyone around. So, but it's fun. It's when you get to play great competition, it has a little extra stuff. But if we're not focused on us just being the best us, then we won't play well. And that's the bottom line. We've been there. I know that. I've had my butt kicked in this thing for a long time. So I know exactly how it feels and what it takes. We've played them very well, but unfortunately that doesn't count in the scoreboard the last 4 or 5 years, maybe as well as anybody in the country. So we're getting closer, but we just need to focus on just being us, the best us, and that's good enough.
Particularly with the younger players that are maybe going into their first or second one of these, are you kind of keeping an eye on their behavior this week just to make sure they are staying focused the way you say?
Their behavior here is fine, so we'll just kind of keep an eye on them once we get going there. But I anticipate they'll be fine. I'm sure they're going to be racing some. That's normal. I'm sure that their kids are going to be racing some. This is why you come to these type of schools, play these type of games and all that. So I think once the first pitch is thrown, everybody will settle in and settle down, and it should be fun with the crowd and all that kind of stuff, and lots of people that don't really care for us, so it should be fun.
Especially for your younger girls, how are you getting them prepared for such a big series, and how they've stepped up this whole season?
Nothing's changed. I wasn't even here yesterday, so I heard we had a good practice. I was recruiting, so we're not going to change the things that we've been doing the whole year, just because it's perceived to mean more. I guess that's the SEC thing. It just means more. But we're just doing our deal. We really are. We haven't changed a thing. We're not all of a sudden yelling out here and screaming and doing any of that kind of stuff. We've coached the way we've coached from the first day of fall to right now, and that hasn't changed. And I don't think it would make sense. I think our kids would look at us kind of weird if we changed anything that we've done or we've been doing for a long time.
You've seen a lot of their players over the years. You've gained a lot of information playing against them. Does that help at all for this weekend? And
it can help both ways. It can make you crazy. It can make you glad that they're going to be in street clothes next year. I respect who they have a ton. I respect who they are. Their work is really good. They're very intentful in what they do. So, to beat the best, you have to act like them and do a lot of stuff that they do, and that's work and care and have a lot of passion and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. They're all different, even though they've been here for a long time. They're different this year. You know what I mean? And they were different last year, and they're different the year before. So it's just going to be settling in, and this is when the cream rises to the top. And so I anticipate that happens for both sides. And I don't know. I mean, they have a lot of new kids too. We're going to be learning a lot about. So it's a mix of kind of how I feel on that.
The one you don't really have to learn about is Kelly. What kind of experience from watching her for all these years can you take against her to the plate?
I don't know. I mean, I don't have a ton of kids who have faced her a bunch, so it'd just be like just preparing, watching film, do that stuff that we normally do here, and just go about it. I mean, she's having a good year, so it'll be a dogfight. I mean, it'll be tough, and we're not going to back down. I can tell you that. I mean, we'll be ready, and we'll see where it falls.
I know you won't want to give away secrets, but has she changed at all this year from what you can tell?
I'm just starting to really watch her some. We haven't been taking. It takes enough work to prepare for all these teams each week. So, it's hard to change the stripes. This late, and I'm sure she's got some new wrinkles that we'll work through and watch and be prepared for. But she's still got for the most part, still is gonna rely on the same stuff, I would think.
You took the series over a team that beat them. Where do you feel like there are some ways that you guys can kind of pick on the deficiencies, if any?
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of deficiencies. I mean, they still hit and still play catch. They still pitch. I know they've given up a few more runs, but I mean, this is the hitting in this conference and this in the country has gotten much better. It just continues to grow. So I think for us, it's just, again, I'm just going to go back to, we have to stay us. We can't be worried about what we're trying to do against them. We talk about playing the game as softball. We're not playing the opponent. We're just playing against the game, and that's the way we're going to take it. It'll be fine.
Does it ever get weird for you going back to Norman wearing orange and black, or does it just feel normal at this point?
Yeah, it's not weird at all. They don't like me. I know that, so it's hard to like them. To be very honest, I have a lot of friends there still, and I have a lot of respect for them and my friendships. When you have good friendships, it doesn't matter what color you were wearing. It wouldn't matter if I was at Texas; they'd be my friends. Okay, so I don't worry about that. But I know. I mean, I went through the ringer this summer over a lot of stuff, and you just keep shrinking your circle. This is my home. This place gave me an opportunity of a lifetime, and I'm not letting it go. And this is home. That's part of my history, but this is home. And if you can't tell that and you can't see that, then I don't think you're really paying attention to what we've done here in our 9 years, almost getting ready to start 10 years. So like Coach Holder told me, there's no need to be ashamed of that. There's no need to not be proud of that, of what I was a part of there. But I want to be the best Cowboy I can be, and that's what I've done.
You got a decent number of lefties in your lineup. Does the lefty-lefty thing translate? I don't think it translates the way it does in baseball.
Yeah.
But is that something you have to be cognizant of this week with Kelly?
I think we'll watch that. I mean, she's not the only arm that they have, so we'll just pay attention to all kinds of how she's doing better against righties or lefties and that kind of stuff. But I mean, we're not going to take out Claire Tim because she's facing a lefty, and Talon and Jill and at the top like that. We're just going to go with what we've got, and we're going to fight, and It's not always ideal, but the idea here is their pitchers make plenty of pitches over the plate, just like ours, and the team that capitalizes on those is the team that's going to win this thing. And OU's history has been they capitalize on those, so you got to be sharp, and and I think we've seen them when they miss, they can be hit too. So we're gonna go with who we've got. It's not our game hasn't gotten into the baseball matchup deal quite as much, but I would say it's more than it's ever been. And so we'll just kind of pay attention. We'll kind of watch. We'll see how the first game goes. I assume they'll throw her, but I've seen all kinds of things. We've faced. Seems like everybody that we face in conference is throwing somebody. This is not going to happen this week, but we have faced so many kids that have pitched like 10 innings, and all of a sudden they're starting games. Here in the last 4 weeks, it's been kind of interesting. So I assume they'll throw her to start with, but we're going to go out there with our best 9 or 10 and let it rip.
What you just mentioned just kind of seems like tactics that some other teams do against OU to try and throw them off
Yeah.
the game. Is that kind of a sign of respect for where you guys have built this program, that teams are starting to do stuff like that?
Maybe. I don't think about it like that. But maybe. I know in my first year here we used to try to match up. Like we wouldn't throw our number 1 kid on the Friday. We'd try to throw her on the Saturday to not have to face their one with our one. But maybe, I don't know. I'd have to kind of think about that. I don't know. But if that's the case, that's cool.
You've got a lot of freshmen, obviously. You've got transfers to come in. Is there any benefits to them maybe not necessarily knowing what they're getting into in terms of the pomp and circumstance of this weekend?
Well, something I've always said is I love to play young kids because they don't always know what's at stake yet. They're about to find out Friday night. So we'll see. But I love it. I do. They haven't been through it all yet. I'm sure they're hearing things, but hopefully they're just like, hey, I'll form my own opinion when I make it there. If they're doing that type of stuff, then they're in a really good spot. So I'll get a good gauge on them here today and tomorrow. And I was told that practice was very, very good and very sharp. So there's no reason it shouldn't be the same here today. And those kids were part of the first kids. As I asked about how are the new kids, they were like, hey, they seem locked in good. So see where it goes.
Jill's not a young player, but this is obviously bigger than anything she's ever been a part of, what she's getting ready to see the next 6 weeks. Is her personality kind of ideal for this, though?
Right now it is. I mean, about 6 weeks ago, no. But boy, I feel like this kid is locked in. She made a couple bonehead plays on Sunday, I think. In the first inning, she had the pop fly she shouldn't have called for, and we dropped it. And then we had she threw home on a ball she shouldn't have thrown home on. And I just talked to her, and she was good. Like right when I talked to her, I was like, okay, Jill's really in a good spot. I can talk to her and say, hey, come on now, those are things that can't happen. And then she hit the home run, and when she ran around third, she slapped my hand pretty hard, and she turned around and said, I got you. And I was like, whoa, that was kind of cool. And so I think she's in a spot where she's relishing this time, these moments, and it is really cool to see. I mean, she is in a space that I wish we could have got her in the first week, because I think her numbers would be off the charts. When you look at her at bats, and if you just start doubling them, the numbers are kind of eye-popping. Even though her average is not quite as high as I would think she could be, her numbers are really good. And so I think she'll be fine. I think she's going to do great. She's emotional, so that could be good and bad for her, but I think she's in a spot where she can calm it down really quick and just get back to normal, and we can get her there. I think she'll have a really good weekend.
Is that change, her not being that way when the season started? Do you think some of that is just getting used to y'all and the team and everything that's new?
I don't know if we have enough time to answer this, but we just had some really, her and I have had some tough times, some good, hard conversations, some tears, some accountability stuff. She's not a bad kid, so I don't want you to live in that. Just taking responsibility for everything, and no excuses. And if you've ever been in these kids, if you've ever been an athlete, and you get to the end of the tunnel, and you see that light. I don't like when they run to the light. I like them to go back so they don't have to get there. And I think she was almost running there, and I said, hey, you need to slow it down. Like, there's no need for you to be thinking about what's next. You need to be focused where your feet are, and what this team needs you to be, and what you think you ought to be. So I just think we've had some really good talks, and I can recall the final talk. That I just said, hey, I don't want to have any more of these. I'm ready for you to be Jill. And it's since that time, it's just taken a trajectory that's been wildly great.
Is that energy, that enthusiasm, is that contagious?
Yes, it's not even. If you followed this team and you haven't seen that, you've missed the whole story, because that is. As she's gotten going, I think she is the spark that this team has been waiting for the whole year. And I think that's why I think we're about to play our best softball.
You were talking about being where your feet are. That was something that Scotland mentioned before the season about how you're always preaching that. But, this time last year you were more or less talking her maybe into medically retiring. I was just wondering what that was like at this time, another hard conversation. In her words, you wanted to see her run around with her kids.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about her long-term health, but I can't keep hounding on that to her. She's a big kid. She can make decisions. I just want her to think through I've wanted her to think through all that stuff. I want her to be healthy. I don't think she's healthy, but I think it tells you about her toughness and her will and her passion. It's the cowgirl way. And it's really cool to see. And it was really cool to see this weekend to give her a start. It's not like we gave it to her. She's been on the cusp of playing, a lot. But to see her go out there and have some good moments, I'll remember those talks, but I can't be thinking about those now. You know what I mean? I want her to have success, and she's made a decision to play and not give it up. So we're just going to go for it and give it our best. And that's what she's done. And I think her story is still being written now, but it's really cool to see. It's going to be a fun one to talk about, in the years to come.
Anything else for Coach?